Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back, your lovely faces. So, we got some stuff today for the horror crowd, and you all know I love me some horror. But these two things I'm going to show you, I'm a little bit skeptic of them both, mostly because, well, the first one is this. James Wan is producing a horror reboot of the Munsters. Now, this has been done twice in the last decade. A couple of years ago, you had Rob Zombie do a complete and utter just bizarre monster movie, and it was like that, you know, it wasn't great, it wasn't bad, but it was somewhere in between. Like, I'd watch that on a Saturday afternoon as a guilty pleasure. That's what it was. There was, like, no comedy into it, but it was done as a family movie as well. And obviously, we had Bryan Fuller, who is the guy who brought Hannibal Lecter to the TV. Those 3 seasons of Hannibal are just sublime. They are just absolutely amazing. And seeing that he was the one who was going to be doing the Friday the 13th Camp Crystal Lake TV series, but is now left, he did a Munsters, it was more like a TV series, well, it was a one-off, and it didn't exactly go great. You know, and the way it was, it had nothing like this. It did not have any of the kooky look, you know. It was more like literally modern day for Herman Munster. Instead of looking like Frankenstein's monster, he just had like stitches around his neck and all that. And it just looked weird, you know. But this is what we got though. James Wan is producing a horror remake. In the wake of Rob Zombie's direct-to-video movie, in 2022, Universal has now announced 1313, a brand new small-screen reboot of the TV series. James Wan's company, Atomic Monster, the new Universal horror series is said to be a reimagining of the 1964 classic sitcom The Munsters. And it's like, I really do not know how this is going to go. But they got that Pet Sematary Bloodlines, which wasn't actually a bad film, I must admit. Lindsay Anderson Beer will serve as the showrunner for it. The title is, of course, referring to Mockingbird Lane, their address. Deadline notes, the project being developed by James Wan Beer and Ingrid Bissu for USCP. Atomic Monster and Lab Brew are the production companies. Michael Clear, Rob Hackett, and all these people are all going to be co-producers. And it goes on to say about the original and what off, and obviously by here, Bryan Fuller's Mockingbird Lane. Well, just have a little look, see if they've got any photos of it. Yeah, there we go. You know, it was weird. You know, obviously you got Eddie Izzard, you've got Jerry O'Connell, and I watched, I think, about 25 minutes of it, and I was like, this isn't the Munsters. You know, even with Rob Zombies, I was like, they look like the Munsters, because they are. But with this one, I was just like, there was just something missing from it. But going back to the article, you know, they do say about various actors have played the roles across the decades. The core Munsters have largely remained the same, with the various shows and movie documenting the wacky lives of lovable family monsters. And to me, that is what the Munsters should look like there, right by there. And it's like, right, okay, you can try and do it, but seeing that James Wan is going to be producing it, I just want to know, is he going to be able to bring any of his ideas, or is he just putting his name to it? Because this day and age, if you make a horror film and you say James Wan is producing it, it gets a lot of hype. Because James Wan, obviously, The Saw, Insidious, Conjuring, he has made so many horror series become these billion-dollar juggernauts. And he's like, yeah, I put my name to that, just throw me a producer credit, and we'll get it done. But seeing this, though, I just hope it's funny. That's what I want from it more. But what I also want to talk about as well is this. So, if you are a fan of The Nightmare on Elm Street, Heather Langenkamp is the original Nancy from the original movie, and my personal favourite, Dream Warriors, number 3. Which is also in, obviously, A New Nightmare, which was like Scream, but before Scream, which is absolutely amazing. But Heather Langenkamp says she wants to return for one more movie. Franchise icon Heather Langenkamp has made it no secret over the years that she'd love to play Nancy Thompson in another Nightmare on Elm Street movie. Of course, played the fan favourite role in the original classic, as well as Dream Warriors, which is the best Freddy movie ever, and she later returned to the franchise for the final time as herself in Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Is it time for a legacy sequel? To be honest with you, if any horror film deserves a legacy sequel, it's A Nightmare on Elm Street. But obviously, with Wes Craven no longer here, I'm a bit like, yeah, try not to do anything. The only way that I could see this actually becoming even mildly successful is if they have Heather back, but also Robert Englund. You need Robert Englund back as Freddy Krueger because no one else ever can play Freddy Krueger. They just can't. It's one of those roles where Robert Englund just became Freddy Krueger. He was Freddy Krueger. You haven't really seen that with a lot of films and TV series, really. You know, I think one of the biggest ones, Back to the Future. No one else can play Marty McFly. No one else can play Doc Brown. No one else can play Biff, you know? If they remade those films, they would bomb because everyone's like, nah, that's not it. This is the same in my eyes. The remake or reboot, whatever they want to call it, from 2010 for Friday, sorry, not Friday, that was 2009. Great remake that was, though, Friday the 13th. But 2010's Nightmare on Elm Street, where it wasn't a bad Freddy Krueger movie, but they kind of messed with it to be like, oh, we're going to basically reboot it, but nearly every single thing from the original film was in it. You can't do it like that. But it says here about this legacy sequel. She was recently at a Q&A where she said, and she made it clear, in my imagination, I have several legacy sequels happening at the same time. She told a crowd of Elm Street fans. She's a great character, how could you say no? I just need somebody to get that off the ground, especially considering Nightmare on Elm Street Part 7, Wes Craven's New Nightmare. I do think there's a lot of really great opportunities for new and excellent battles still to come. And then we go by here, guys, which is exactly it. The big question, of course, is whether or not Robert Englund would agree to play Freddy Krueger again. In recent years, he has made it pretty clear that the days he feels on donning the burn makeup are probably behind him. Yeah, you know, for Robert Englund, he was some days 6 to 7 hours in a makeup chair before he even started filming, which is just absolutely insane. And it goes on, you know, that in recent years, he learned to never say never when it comes to stuff like this. Would you like to see one final battle between Freddy and Nancy? And to me, hell yeah. They go on about, you know, would you rather see the Elm Street franchise return with a fresh approach, where I don't really know if you could have a fresh approach to this. Mostly because obviously we've seen films deal with dreams, and obviously you got Requiem for a Dream. You've also got Inception. There's so many things where people can dream of different things. What dreams may come, Robin Williams, you know, multicolored there. But with this one, for A Nightmare on Elm Street to become, or just to make a legacy sequel, I do think they'd have to go the Scream 5 and 6 route, where obviously bring in the legacy characters, but have a whole host of new people. To be honest with you, they kind of did that with Dream Warriors, if you think about it, because Nancy was the psychiatrist or the person in the hospital where all these people were who had the dreams about Freddy. And she came in, she's like, no, this is what we did, blah, blah, blah. Basically, if you want to do a legacy, I'd say just remake Dream Warriors, but make it a little bit more violent, because again, horror films recently, only a couple, they seem to just tone down a lot of the blood and the gore and imaginative kills, just to appease the censors and to get a PG-13. We want films like Terrifier 2 and 3. These are what we need. Which this year, Terrifier 3 is supposedly so gross in the way that the horror and the gore is, it makes Terrifier 2 look like a baby commercial, which I cannot wait. But that could be a different video, different story, another month. But yeah, let me know what you think about this down below, guys, because I'm a little bit skeptic about having the Munsters come back, but more of a horror reimagining, even though it's a horror characters, and a legacy sequel for A Nightmare on Elm Street. Let me know what you think about this down below, and I'll see you all soon.